me, but that's fine. All right, so we're gonna look at some guns they have in this game. Why don't we just start with the pistols and we'll move our way across the table, huh? How about that one? So yeah, we're gonna start with the pistols, move our way across the table. This looks like it's either based on the Springfield Operator or the Kimber Warrior. I'm not really sure which one. You're gonna go to sleep now? Well, I just started doing gun rant, so you're gonna miss out. Sorry to hear that. So yeah, we'll just start over here and move our way that way. So, first one, yes, this is a Smith & Wesson R8. One of the things they did for the game, which I actually kind of like, is the rear sight's just a straight bar, which makes it look like XS big dot sights. But I still think that's I inspect the gun. I don't think so. Let me see if there's a control to inspect the gun. I kind of feel like there isn't. All weapons full auto. Goodness, that's an option? Auto select new weapons.
You have another subscriber.
Thank you for subscribing, Private Casper. Auto recenter recoil. Take a break. Reticle. Reticle color. Okay. I'm guessing that there isn't a thing to inspect weapon. Yeah, I don't see one. Alright, so Smith & Wesson R8, it's an 8-shot 357 Magnum revolver built off of an N frame? Is it N frame? I can't remember. Yeah, it's got a rail on the top, rail on the bottom. The difference between the R8 and the TRR8, I think, is the TRR8 has a built-in rail and the R8 does not. Or maybe it's the other way around. Yeah, pretty cool. I like how they did that. Yeah, let's see what happens if I change all weapons to full auto. On. Oh, I can shoot faster normally. It's basically so you can just hold down the trigger and you don't have to worry about it. Oh, but I can actually options, auto, switch on, all weapons full auto off. Yeah, I can actually shoot it faster independently. All right, next one is the 1911, which, as I said, is either based off of a Springfield Operator or a Kimber Warrior. I'm not sure which one. Who's making a noise like a zombie? I heard someone. I heard you do it. What is your dream gun? Also, I'm Darlene. Darlene 2021. Okay. Were there any other MOSs you considered before deciding on small arms repair? Tank driver. And then they were like, oh, well, you don't drive the tank all the time. And I went, okay, never mind. I don't want to do that then. All right, anyway. Yeah, it's either a Kimber Warrior or a Springfield Operator. It's got a Hogue over-molded rubber grip, and it looks like a Chip McCormick 10-round magazine. You can put things on it. Looks like it's just a little laser that goes on there. Compensator, suppressor. What suppressor is that? That looks kind of like the Surefire suppressor, but I'm not 100% positive. Anyway, moving on. The Belgian. It's a side-by-side shotgun. It fires both barrels at the same time. It is not a flintlock, it just has actual hammers. Alright. Oh yeah, interestingly, this gun is pictured with a 10-round magazine, but it doesn't actually have the 10-round magazine. Now it does. Alright, anyway. Desert Eagle. You know how I feel about these. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'd like it better if it was in 44 Magnum. Oddly enough, the Desert Eagle is actually more useful in this game than it is in real life. And you can put an EOTech on it, which I have done with the real one before because it's funny. Don't think it would actually be usable in that configuration, but whatever. Yeah, that muzzle porting would destroy the front of that EOTech. So you can see when I reload it, you can see that there's porting on the muzzle. That would have just ripped that EOTech apart. Neat. All right, next gun. We have a Glock 23, which I believe is the Glock 23 is a Glock 19 size. It's their compact size. It's in 40 Smith & Wesson. And then there's a full auto version of it. Yeah, it's about as usable as an actual Glock 23. Good lord. You can put a stock on it, but then the stock doesn't actually show up. Put a laser. Put a compensator on it. Why not? Yeah, it's impossible for me to tell what the hell is even happening. Not a huge fan. Beretta M9 burst. Beretta M9. Alright, Beretta M9. I find it interesting that they called it an M9. Well, if this was an M9, so this one actually cannot be an M9. For a couple reasons. One, the sights are wrong. If it was an actual M9, it would just have the little half moon cutout in the back instead of 2 dots. Two, it has a rail on the bottom of it, which the M9 does not have. The M9A1 does have that, however. So, not that one. I do appreciate that they put the M9 Burst, which clearly is supposed to be an homage to the 93R, which stands for Ravka, which is a 3-round burst Beretta. They didn't change anything about the character, or about the model, though, which is fun. Uzi. I don't know if that rail can actually go where it is. Yeah, I actually don't know if that rail can go where it is because that thing on the front that is right behind the front sight is the cocking handle. So, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over the Tech 9. Tech 9, there we go. I used that earlier. The Tech 9 isn't a bad gun. It just was killed by marketing very, very quickly. And it isn't actually full auto. It's semi-auto only. It was kind of a cheapo blowback gun that, that people said, like, its plastic made it so that fingerprints wouldn't stay on there, and then the media got wind of that, which isn't true, and that basically just killed this gun. The media just, like, ripped this thing apart, and then nobody... They ended up banning it by name because people are stupid as hell. Yeah, that also helped. It was, you know, that thing in Colorado. So that killed it, too. There were a lot of things that worked together to kill the Tech 9. That's not to say it's a good gun. They're mediocre. They're not great. They're just okay. It didn't get the reputation. It didn't deserve the reputation it got. Oh, I blew up something back there. Goodness. Vector. Woof. That firing rate, though. Okay, that's odd. The Vector has a 19... What happens if I do the extended, plus extended, fast? Okay. Oh, 24 is the maximum you can get? Here, we're gonna put an optic on this, and a compensator, why not? Okay, so... Interesting. All right. I find it odd that the vector in this game starts with... Here, we're going to pick it up again. It starts with a 19-round magazine, which I think is weird, because the smallest magazine that would fit in a 9mm Chris Vector would be a... Am I going to have to Google Colorado Tech 9 for context? Sure. No, we're talking about the Columbine shooting. One of the two assholes in that one used a Tech 9. All right. Back to this gun. The magazine, the smallest magazine that could fit in this gun would be the magazine from a Glock 17 if it was in 9mm. And the model is definitely pictured with the extended, I don't even know how many rounds it would hold. I'm gonna say 30 to 40 something round magazine for the Chris Vector. And if I put the extended magazine, it holds 24, which again, it should be like 30 or 40 something. Firing rate is incredibly high. I don't think it's actually that high in real life. The thing about the Vector's design is designed to minimize recoil. Basically, I don't know if I can show it properly. Basically, the bolt is positioned right about here. When it fires, the bolt comes down like this. So the bolt makes a weird kind of like J shape or L shape when it fires. And that's how it minimizes recoil, because it redirects the recoil forces downwards. So really, the Chris Vector is... If you like how it looks, cool, then buy one. But I'm not saying don't buy one. I'm just saying that you really only get the advantage of its recoil system when you shoot it in full auto. Anyway. MP5. I've talked about these at length. Fucking love the MP5. The actual MP5 does not have that rear sight, though. Nice. Yeah, everybody knows the MP5. It's great. UMP45. H&K made this thing to try to compete with the MP5. Thoughts about slapping an M203 on an MP5 a la Half-Life. You could do it if you had the Knights Armor rail system and you had one of the rail attachment M203s. That's, as far as I know, the only way you could actually do it. Anyway, UMP45, H&K designed this thing to compete with the MP5. Didn't work. Pretty much everybody was like, yeah, that's really cool, give me the MP5. So, the MP5 is a weapon that is so good even H&K can't compete with it. Magazine capacity is close to what it would actually be. Now it's actually identical. I believe the UMP45 magazines are 25 rounds. Why exactly do they want to compete with their own products? Because the UMP45 is cheaper to make than this. This is made out of sheet metal that has to be stamped out and then rolled into the configuration. It needs to be stamped out of a large piece of sheet metal and then folded and welded and put together. This one can be made by injection molding plastic and then running a piece of metal through a CNC machine. So this is cheaper to make than this one is. MP5 is 9mm while UMP is 45 ACP. Yes, but they do make UMPs in 9mm and they do make MP5s in 10mm. I don't think they ever made an MP5 in 45 except for some like weird oddball wildcat things. There might be some of those. UMP9 is in greater circulation than the 45, and even the 40 is in more circulation. That wouldn't surprise me. But I am not sure if that's true. Also, this rear sight is not actually that shape. It's actually just a notch, not a U. All right, what else we got? But yeah, I mean, most of these character models look pretty spot on, honestly. Character models. Let's see. TAC-14. It's a Remington 870 that is cut down and sold as a pistol for legal reasons. God, I wish I could reload shotguns that fast. Yeah, it's a Remington 870. The Remington TAC-14 is an 870. It's just real short. It's sold as a firearm because according to the ATF, it is a firearm, not a shotgun, not a short barrel shotgun, not a rifle. I think it does actually hold 3 rounds, which is pretty accurate. It's like 3 or 4. Can't remember. 870 Express. It's shotted with the cheese grater on it. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I like that it makes the noise. Oh, does it say Pump Tactical? That's fun. Let's see. Yep, it says Pump Tactical. Wow, they actually got, like, that is the Remington font, too. That's really good. I like that. Alright. This is the Benelli M4. It is, well, actually, what is it called in this game? Because some of these have the correct names. Yeah, that's called a 357, the Belgian, M1911, Desert Eagle, which is correct, Tech 9, which is correct, Glock 23. I'm kind of surprised Glock was like, yeah, okay, you can use our name, but at the same time, I don't know, that's just free advertising, so yeah, why wouldn't they? Beretta M9, Uzi, Vector, MP5, UMP45, TAC-14, 870 Express, Super 90. So clearly, Benelli did not give them permission to call it a Benelli M4 because it's actual. The name of the civilian one is the Benelli M4 Super 90. No wait, yeah. The civilian version is the Benelli M4 Super 90. The military version is the Benelli M1014. There's writing on the bottom of it, but I can't read it. Let's see. I can't read it. It's going by too quickly. I heard they called it a super before, though, so maybe they just didn't want to ask for licensing. It's entirely possible. It's also possible that they got a hold of Benelli and were like, hey, we want to, or that they contacted Benelli and said, hey, we want to put your shotgun in the game. We're going to call we'll call it the Benelli M4 Super 90. What do you want us to do? And Benelli never got back to him. So that's a very real possibility. Anyway, the Benelli M4 Super 90 is, in my opinion, the best semi-automatic combat shotgun that you can buy. It is also prohibitively expensive. Dual piston Argo system. Oh, it's because there's an actual M4 and they didn't want people being confused by knowing that there's 2 M4s. Yeah, that's a very real possibility. Or they could have called it the 1014. I've seen a lot of people do that. The Benelli M4 is amazing. The bolt knob does not actually have that knurling on it. Yeah, dual piston Argo system is what controls this. It's really hard to get ones with the collapsible stocks in the United States. Is it more expensive than the average H&K gun? It's about $3,000 for one of these. Like with tax and everything, you're looking at about $3,000 for a shotgun. Oh, and then that isn't including. Ooh, I need to see something. Okay, so they did actually put the correct magazine tube on it. Why can I not think? So normally in the civilian market, these come with a weird magazine extension on them. Hydro up, homie. Thank you. They come with a weird magazine extension on them that basically restricts them to 5 rounds only. The military ones have a 7-round magazine extension. So you have to change the magazine tube on it if you want full capacity magazine. Anyway. AA-12, it is a semi-automatic shotgun. I have no experience with these in real life, so I can't tell you if they are good or bad. I don't know. Everything I've heard from people, they seem to be good. They seem like they're quite heavy, though. An FN Scar. Yes, these are very expensive. Apparently, the 308 ones are incredibly hard on recoil. Again, don't really know a whole lot about these. They have a non-reciprocating bolt. Or they have a reciprocating charging handle, which can be interesting. Does the Army use any AA-12s? As far as I know, no, but I also was mostly attached to standard infantry, and they don't get cool shits. Cool shit. The Army also does not use the Super 90. The Army uses a Mossberg 500. The Marines use Benelli M4 Super 90s. M16! Yeah, this would be an M16A4. Odd that there's a 30-round magazine in it, but the capacity in the game is listed as 20. Don't really have much else to say about that. This is an AK. Is it a milled or a stamped receiver? Let me find a sniper rifle with a scope. Here, give me a... There we go. That is a stamped receiver, and it looks like they modeled this after an Arsenal, if I had to guess. Ripped top cover, rear sight rail. That front sight looks very tall to me for some reason. Why does that front sight look so tall? Also, the notch on this rear sight is fucking huge. They're not actually that big. That's actually an M16A3, considering the barrel grip and its full auto. Nope, it's an A4. I'm telling you, it's an A4. That handguard is... I mean, the A4s still have that, and it's 3-round burst. Which means it's an M16A4. Just because it doesn't have the Knight's Armor rail system doesn't mean it's not an A4. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I don't know enough about AKs to really say what this one is. The writing on the side of it makes me think that it's an Arsenal AK, but I guess I'm not really sure. M4 carbine, what is this one based off of? I have no idea. That rear sight is... The rear sight is a Troy Industries, so is the front sight. Standard charging handle, standard buffer tube. I can't really see anything else. There's like a little skull on there. The handguard looks like an Ergo handguard. I'm not positive, though. Huh. You know, I wonder why the Scar is a 3-round burst in Left 4 Dead 2. I feel like I've heard that it isn't before. It's basically just semi or full auto. Trying to figure out what's going on with that gas block. That is weird. It's like a standard... It looks like the gas block is a standard AR-15. Can I get a better look at this? Here, let's... There we go. Whoop. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it's like a standard AR-15 front sight gas block, but then there's a Picatinny rail on it. That looks like it's based on a YHM flash hider. It's got an M4 profile barrel. Property of U.S. government. Why would there be a skull on it if it was property of U.S. government? Carbine, caliber 5.56, serial number 7982409. And then there's more writing there. Something about in California. That might be where the development studio is. I don't know why fire is right there, and then it's auto, because it should be safe, semi-auto. They did actually put the 3rd pin on there, which I find very interesting. Huh. And it's got an LMT SOT mod stock, or a B5 SOT mod stock. I'm not sure which one it is. That grip is... Oh, I know who makes that grip, but I can't remember. Maybe it does say banned in California. No, USA something Forest, California, I think. I'm not sure. Oh, I know what kind of grip that is. It might be a B5 grip. I'm not 100% positive, sorry. Alright, we'll move on. What do we got here? This is a Ruger Mini 14. Yeah, Ruger Mini 14. I don't know a whole lot about these. They're okay. They honestly, they cost way too much money for what they are. Ruger sells these as if it's a precision rifle, but really at best it's a plinking gun. I don't know why they charge as much money as they do for them, but whatever. M1A, or an M14 if you want to call it the incorrect thing and piss off boomers, which I do. So I call it an M14. Huh, interesting, they put a 10-round mag in it. Okay. Yep, M14. Oh, I wonder what happens if I put the... Oh, that's weird, that it's like the scout scope. Yeah, I guess they couldn't really do a whole different one. This one is a Ruger American. This one is the Ruger American. It's a bolt action. It is in 350 Legend, based on the 350L on there. Which I find kind of fun, that they were just like, oh yeah, it's 350 Legend. But actually, to be completely honest, 350 Legend might not be a bad cartridge for the zombie apocalypse. Got a really flat trajectory out to like 300 yards. Not a whole lot of recoil to it. Straight wall cartridge. Yeah. Ruger American is honestly not a bad rifle if you're looking for a cheap hunting rifle. The reason it's not bad is Ruger did some kind of weird, dark magics to design this thing where it actually works better in the cheap plastic stock than it does like if you take the receiver out of the stock and try to put it in something else. So 350 Legend was created along with 350 Legend was created along with another cartridge called 450 Bushmaster. Both of them were created explicitly for use in markets like Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, basically markets in the Midwest where there's a large deer hunting market, but because of the population density, you can't use a bottlenecked rifle cartridge. So 350 Legend is actually a straight wall rifle cartridge. Here, let's see. .350 Legend is a straight wall rifle cartridge that was designed, basically, it's pretty much the exact same size as a 5.56 cartridge, which is what it's pictured next to here. And yeah, it was designed for use in areas where you're not allowed to use a bottleneck cartridge. You can only use a straight wall rifle cartridge. So it gives you really great accuracy out to like 300 yards, and then beyond that, it just starts to drop off really fast. It was designed for markets where you're not allowed to use bottlenecked cartridges because of the population density. You either have to go further up north or further down south. It depends on what the area is. There's places in Indiana where because of population density, you can go deer hunting, but you have to either use shotguns or pistol caliber carbines. Anyway. Barrett M95. It's a bolt-action 50 caliber rifle. It's also a bullpup. Take a look at this thing. Yep, bolt-action 50 caliber bullpup. Here, let's put a suppressor on it. Yeah, suppressor. And EOTech. And larger capacity magazine. Man, that fire rate is atrocious. If you're making a 50 BMG sniper, why would you want to bullpup it? Because, you know, you got to put it in a bag and carry it around. It makes it easier to carry the thing around. That way you can have a really long barrel, but you're not, like, shoving the barrel out of things. Anyway. RPK, it's another type of AK. Neat! 40 round magazine, that's probably accurate. M249. It wiggled. I don't know if that's actually accurate for the rate of, I can't remember if that's accurate for the rate of fire on this. I don't think it is. Yeah, I feel like that's not accurate. Wow, they actually animated everything on the inside of that. Wow, they modeled all of that stuff. Holy shit. Huh. Alright, moving on. What else we got? I think that's pretty much it.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's all of the weapons in this game. How painful is the maintenance on a 249? It's not bad. There's a couple roll pins that you gotta punch out that are a real pain in the ass. There's a couple, yeah, there's a couple roll pins. There's a couple parts that are kind of annoying, but for the most part, 249s aren't too terribly bad. I just don't understand why. Give me a scope. Is it on the other side? Oh, yeah, it is on the other side. Okay, so you see the belt? The belt going into the machine gun right here. The problem I have, I put a scope on the shotgun so that I could zoom in on the guns. That's why it didn't actually have anything to do with that. Anyway, the problem I have with a 249 is this magazine adapter on here is a pain in the ass. I hate dealing with that thing. The magazine adapter sucks. Shooting this machine gun with a magazine sucks. It doesn't work. It never worked properly. They shouldn't have even put it on there. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I hate the magazine adapter on the M249.
Gun that don't shoot straight is useful indoor and
Goodness, Rigby, you are out of breath. The long service of the M249, they never fixed the damn mag adapter. Yeah, because it doesn't work. There's no point in having the magazine adapter on an M249. It doesn't work. It never did. The 249's firing rate cannot keep up with an AR magazine cannot keep up with a 249's firing rate. It also doesn't like feeding from an open bolt. Anyway. All right. I'm gonna take a quick break.
last time I give credit. A piece of paper's worth less than nothing if they get themselves killed.
Anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break, and I will be back shortly.
The next time you buy supplies, you grab me a few extra mags.
Yep.
I owe you one.